let's have a little fun today. I hope you guys are having a great day today. If you love the Yankees and you're not subscribed, be sure to subscribe, especially fun to be kept up to date with the latest Yankees news. We're on the road to 12,000 subscribers, so please help us get there. All right, listen up. Today might not be news, but we're going to talk about a possible trade that would net the New York Yankees Mr. Nolan Arenado. Now, some of you might be asking the question, Joey, why on earth do you have the New York Yankees trading for all-star third baseman Nolan Arenado? No way would the Cardinals move on from him. Well, number one, the St. Louis Cardinals, they're not going to make the playoffs. They're having a very underwhelming season, and they've vastly underachieved. And therefore, they might be looking at selling off some of their players, like Nolan Arenado. Arenado even said it himself in his most recent comments, mentioning that he's bracing for that conversation between him and the Cardinals about a possible trade, and that he wouldn't be surprised at all if it were to happen. So, let's have some fun, and let's talk about the Yankees acquiring all-star third baseman Nolan Arenado. So, he's very expensive. I believe it's $35 million for the next couple of years, and then 1 year's $32, and then his final year's $15. But he's very expensive, so the Yankees would have to figure out a way to offload money in order to acquire him. So, you have Gleyber Torres going to St. Louis. You have pitching prospect Justin Lang going to St. Louis. You then have Kyle Higashioka going to the Cardinals. Now, Gleyber Torres, where does he fit with the Cardinals? Well, he could go play second base. You can move Nolan Gorman over there to third base to replace Nolan Arenado, and there's the solution. All right, fine. What about Higashioka? Well, Wilson Contreras is kind of underperforming this year at the catcher position for the Cardinals. And in bringing in Higashioka, he's not the worst catcher in the world. He's pretty good. And you would have a guy for the rest of this season and next year in Higashioka. Longtime Yankee, though. He's been in the organization since 2008. So maybe it would kind of stink parting with Higashioka, but there's a reason we're doing this. Number one, for money. Number two, to give the Cardinals another catching option. And we're going to call somebody else up to replace Higashioka in this little mock trade. So, like I said, Gleyber going to St. Louis, Justin Lang, and Kyle Higashioka. So, where does all the financials fall into place? Where does this make sense? Well, another trade has to happen. The Yankees would have to then offload Josh Donaldson, and the New York Mets have expressed interest in bringing on a bad contract, DFAing that bad contract, but they would also need something else in return, something of value. So if you could call the New York Mets up, if the Cardinals were to agree to this kind of a deal, you could call the Mets up and say, hey, Mets, we'll give you Donaldson. Please absorb his contract for us. What else do you want? And if you could find some common ground there, and if you could have the Mets do that, then this deal, it makes sense financially because you're freeing up Gleyber's money, you're freeing up Higgy's money, which isn't a lot, but you're also freeing up, obviously, Donaldson's money in a separate trade. Also, some of Arenado's money is also deferred, and the Rockies are paying some of Arenado's contract. I'm not sure if that's just void, though, if the Yankees were to acquire Arenado, or if Arenado were to play for another team that the Rockies would still continue to pay his money. I'm not entirely sure about that. Let me know down in the comments if you happen to know that. But if all of that happens, and a lot needs to happen, we could get Nolan Arenado in pinstripes. Now, let's just say it does, right? We're able to move Higgy, Torres, Lang for Arenado, and move Donaldson to the Mets so we could have the money to bring in Arenado. What does this Yankee team look like? Well, obviously Arenado is playing third base for you. Then you have Peraza or Volpe over at short. Then you have Peraza or Volpe over there at second base. You have Anthony over there at first. Then you also have DJ roaming the infield like he usually does. But in moving on from Higashioka, you have to replace him. So who do you replace him with? Mr. Ben Rortvedt. We've seen him a little bit this year. He looked good. He's looking good down there in Scranton. So you would then finally bring up Ben Rortvedt, and he would be your part-time catcher, your platoon with Mr. Jose Trevino. And then you have to replace Rortvedt down there in AAA. So what else do? You call up Austin Wells, and he finally gets the call to AAA. So like I said, a lot has to happen in this little Arenado scenario where the Mets would then have to take Donaldson's contract if they're even still willing to do it. And the Cardinals would have to like this. But the reason why I have this kind of a package rather than a prospect-laden package is because Arenado's 32 years old. He's pretty pricey. So in getting Arenado, the Cardinals wouldn't have to pay him. They would just have to pay Gleyber Torres for this year and next season, and same with Higgy for this year and next year, and then they're free of that money. So if they don't want that money anymore because of the situation that the organization is in, well, this allows them to free up that Arenado money. So you guys let me know what you think about this down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. We have channel memberships in the description if that interests you. This is Joe, and until next time, signing out. And let's not forget to thank our channel members here at The Shift. Thank you guys. It means the world.